My name is Maya Chen. I am 27 years old. At my own wedding, my fiancé's mother looked at my parents and said, "Why are the servants sitting with the guests?" My fiancé heard every word and laughed. Then he grabbed my arm so hard it left a mark. I looked at him, pulled out my phone, and made one call. What walked through those doors 20 minutes later silenced every single person in that room. Before I tell you what happened, make sure to like and subscribe to the channel and tell me your country in the comments. Now, let's begin. The wedding hall was everything his family had wanted. Crystal, gold, flowers imported from somewhere expensive. The kind of extravagance that announces itself before you walk through the door. I had wanted something simpler. Nathan had said, "My family expects a certain standard." I had agreed because I loved him, because I believed that love was enough to bridge the distance between his world and mine. I understood differently now. My parents arrived at 11, my father in his best suit, the one he wore to my college graduation, to my cousin's wedding, to every important day of my life. My mother in the blue dress she had been saving for this occasion, both of them smiling, both of them proud, both of them completely out of place in a room that had been designed to make people like them feel exactly that. I watched Victoria notice my parents the moment they walked in, the particular way her eyes moved over them, like an assessment, like arithmetic. The seating was the first thing. Every chair on Nathan's side full. His aunts, his uncles, cousins I had never met, business associates of his father, people who filled every seat like they owned the room, because in every room they had ever entered, they had owned it. My side, half empty. My parents standing near the entrance, still holding the gift they had brought, looking for somewhere to belong. I walked to Victoria. "Could some of your family move?" I said. "My parents need seats." She looked at me, then at my parents. Her expression didn't change. "Why are the servants sitting with the guests?" she said. Not quietly, loud enough for the nearby tables to hear, loud enough for my mother to hear. I watched my mother's face, the particular expression of someone who has been hit somewhere they thought was protected. "That is my mother," I said, my voice very controlled. "And my father. They are your guests today." Victoria smiled. "They're your guests," she said. "We didn't invite them." I turned to Nathan. He was standing with his groomsmen, champagne in hand, mid-laugh at something someone had said. "Nathan," I said. He looked at me, his expression shifting slightly at whatever he saw in my face. "Your mother just insulted my parents," I said. He glanced at Victoria, then back at me. "Iris, not now." "Maya," I said. "My name is Maya, and now." His groomsmen exchanged looks. Nathan stepped toward me, his voice dropping. "You're making a scene," he said. "Your mother called my parents servants in front of 200 people. Lower your voice," he said. "Nathan," his hand closed around my arm, hard, the kind of hard that isn't accidental. "I said lower your voice," he said. I looked down at his hand on my arm, then up at his face, and I understood something I should have understood a long time ago. This was not the first time. It was just the first time in public. I pulled my arm away, stepped back. The room had gone quiet, the particular quiet of people who have sensed something and are pretending they haven't. "There won't be a ceremony," I said. Laughter from somewhere in his family. "Oh, please," someone said. Nathan's jaw tightened. "Maya, stop this right now." I reached into my bag, took out my phone, dialed. One ring. "It's me," I said. "I need you. Come now." I ended the call. Nathan stared at me. "Who did you call?" I looked at him steadily. "My brother," I said. He laughed, short, dismissive. "Your brother. You should have asked more about him before today." 23 minutes later, the doors opened. I know it was 23 minutes because I had been watching the clock on the wall. 23 minutes of Victoria making comments I didn't respond to, of Nathan alternating between anger and cajoling, of his family laughing and his father checking his watch impatiently. 23 minutes of my parents standing against the back wall, my father's hand on my mother's shoulder, watching me with an expression that was equal parts worry and something else. Pride, I think, or the beginning of it. Then, the doors opened. James Chen walked in, my older brother, 41 years old. 2 years ago, he had been named to the Forbes Asia list for the third consecutive time. Last year, his company had acquired a significant stake in 3 major regional infrastructure projects. He was not loud, he was not dramatic. He simply walked in and the room felt different, the particular gravity of someone who has never needed to announce themselves. He found me immediately, crossed the room, stopped beside me. "Maya," his voice quiet. "Are you all right?" I nodded. He looked at my arm, the mark Nathan's hand had left. Something moved across his face and then was gone. He turned to Nathan. "You are the fiancé," he said, not a question. Nathan had recovered some composure. "And you are?" "James Chen," my brother said. He reached into his jacket, produced a card, handed it to the wedding coordinator who was standing nearby. She looked at it. Her expression changed completely. She turned and said something urgent to Nathan's father, who read it next. Nathan's father's confident smile disappeared. "What is this?" Nathan said. James looked at him calmly. "Your company, Whitfield Properties." Nathan's father stiffened. "What about it?" "Chen Global acquired a controlling interest last month." Silence. "That's impossible," Nathan's father said. "The paperwork was filed Thursday," James said. He gestured to 2 men who had entered behind him, both carrying briefcases. "You should be receiving formal notification shortly." Nathan's father's face had gone very pale. "You're lying," Nathan said, but his voice had changed. James looked at him without expression. "I don't lie," he said simply. "I don't need to." Victoria stepped forward. Her composure was still intact, but something underneath it had shifted. "This is a family matter," she said. "You have no business here." James looked at her. "You called my parents servants," he said. She blinked. "In front of 200 people," he continued. "You humiliated my mother, you humiliated my father, and your son put his hands on my sister." The room was not breathing. "So," James said, "I have every business here." He turned to the wedding coordinator. "Cancel the ceremony." She looked at Nathan's family, then at James, then nodded. "Yes, Mr. Chen." Nathan stepped forward. "You can't do this." "It's already done," James said. "Maya," Nathan said, turning to me, his voice different now, something underneath it I hadn't heard before. "Tell him to stop. We can fix this. I'm sorry about your arm. I'm sorry about what my mother said. We can talk about this." I looked at him. The man I had planned to marry. The man I had believed in for 3 years. "You laughed," I said. He frowned. "What?" "When your mother called my parents servants," I said. "You laughed." He opened his mouth. "You laughed," I said again, "and then you grabbed my arm." Silence. "There's nothing to fix," I said, "because this isn't a mistake. This is who you are." Nathan's father was reading the documents the men had brought. His hands were not steady. "This is an audit," he said, his voice very quiet. "Yes," James said. "You can't—" "I didn't initiate it," James said. "The regulatory body did. I simply provided certain documentation that had come to our attention during the acquisition process." Nathan's father looked up. "What documentation?" "Financial records," James said, "from the past 4 years." Victoria's hand had gone to her throat. "This is a vendetta," Nathan said, his voice rising. "This is because of Iris." "Maya," I said. He stopped. My name is Maya, I said. You have called me the wrong name 3 times today. Something shifted in his face. That's what I mean, I said quietly. You never saw me. Not really. My parents came to stand beside me. My father put his hand on my shoulder. My mother took my hand, and the 3 of us stood there, together, while the room that had tried to diminish them rearranged itself around the truth. Nathan's family left before the evening was over, his father accompanied by 2 regulatory officers who had arrived quietly and without drama, his mother with her composure finally and completely gone. Nathan, last, stopping at the door, looking back at me. You'll regret this, he said. I thought about it honestly. No, I said. I'll remember it. He left. The door closed. My father exhaled slowly beside me. That suit, he said, finally. I paid $700 for this suit. I looked at him. 30 years ago, he said, for your mother's sister's wedding. I've worn it 4 times. I took his hand. It's a good suit, Dad, I said. He looked down at it. Yes, he said quietly, I think it is. James found me later, standing near the window, looking out at the city. He stood beside me. Are you all right? He said. Getting there, I said. You called at the right moment, he said. I almost didn't call, I said. I know, he said. That's why I answered on the first ring. I looked at my brother. How did you know? I said. About the company? About all of it, I said. He was quiet for a moment. I've been watching him for a year, since you told me you were engaged. You didn't say anything, I said. You loved him, he said simply. I was waiting to be wrong. I looked at the city. Were you? No, he said. I walked away from that wedding hall in my dress, not broken, not diminished, not the version of myself that spent 3 years trying to be small enough to fit into a world that didn't want her. Something else, something that takes a long time to name, but that I think is simply myself. My mother called it courage, my father called it dignity, James called it common sense. I don't have a word for it yet, but I know what it felt like. It felt like breathing. If this story gave you strength today, like and subscribe. New story every week. Comment your country below. Share with someone who needs to hear this.